Good evening and welcome to the 31st Annual Rotary Community Toast and Benefit Banquet. My name is Susanna Jacobson and it is my honor to serve as the current president of the New Albany Rotary Club, where we have been connecting to our community and the world for over 100 years. This evening represents an important occasion for our community, and on behalf of our club, we appreciate your participation as we recognize an outstanding individual and family who exemplify Rotary International's motto, service above self, consistent with the tradition of our previous honorees. Before we begin, I'd like this opportunity to formally introduce several of our guests for tonight. First, we have the honor to have our District 6580 Governor, Carrie Aiken. Carrie, could you stand up, please, and be recognized? Thank you so much for being here. And we also have some fabulous young people this evening from our Floyd Central Interact Club. And where is our Interact Club? Can you stand and also be recognized? And they're also there with Miss Kim Haley. If you have any concerns about our future, I please recommend hanging out with these fabulous young people. They will totally turn your night around. And Carrie, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to put you in the young person category, if that's all right with you. I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to Jamie Abersold, of course, and your amazing band. Thank you so much for providing the excellent music this evening. The New Albany Rotary Club is committed to service both locally and internationally. Each member works diligently to enhance our community while fostering peace and goodwill globally. If you'd like to learn more about the opportunity Rotary offers for community engagement, connections with change makers, and support for impactful projects, please feel free to speak with me, anyone with a Paul Ferris Fellow Medallion, or also check our QR code on the table. For a Rotarian, we guide our actions that benefit others, but above all, commit to a life that is service above self. And it is in my humble opinion, there's no better example of these qualities than our very own Dan Christiani. So I actually had the pleasure of meeting up with Dan a few weeks ago, and we walked through the halls of Prosser together. And I learned I might have actually been one of the very last people to know who Dan was. Dan smiled and greeted everyone, and including some of the students, and he shared with me some of his personal life philosophies. He shared that he was never in the excavation business, but people are his business. The betterment of the community is his business. Evenings like this mean so much personally to me because knowing how humble a man Dan is, I know that those who think they are not worthy of recognition are often the ones who truly deserve it the most. So, as I close my remarks for the night, thank you for being part of this remarkable evening. Your support will be felt both locally and internationally, and Rotary works to make the whole world a better place for everyone. And Dan, thank you for being someone worth following, someone worth emulating. And if you don't mind, can I be you when I grow up? Is that okay? Wonderful. And now I'd like to welcome to the stage our Master of Ceremonies for tonight, a true community leader and friend, Angie Fenton.
Thank you, Susanna. Going to make this look just a little bit better here. All right. I am truly moved to be here tonight. It's the 31st Annual Rotary Community Toast honoring Dan Christiani, who asked me to MC. That is an honor that I do not take lightly. And I can assure you that you are in for one heck of an evening that will be filled with joy, that will be filled with love, laughter, and even maybe a few tears. Months ago when I learned about the toast, Dan said in all seriousness, and I know from talking to some of you that he said the same thing to you, and he was serious, but it was with his signature innate humility. I just don't think anyone's going to show up. we are going to have a hard time filling the space. He said that to me. He was standing there in a safety jacket, a safety vest before we were doing a video. That was the first time. He must have said it no less than 3 times to me and to others. Well, Dan, wall to wall to wall to wall. And that's because of you and because of how you have worked to take care of your community, not because you've had to, because that's what your heart, that's what your faith has always led you to do. Among those in attendance tonight are the Christiani family. When I call your name, please stand if you are able, or wave so we can recognize you. First and foremost, Dan's beloved wife, Ann Christiani. Laura Nichols, Dan's daughter, had surgery and couldn't attend, but she is here for sure in spirit. Dave Nichols, Laura's husband and Dan's son-in-law. Dan's son, Danny Christiani, and his wife, Stacy Christiani, Dan's daughter-in-law. Dan's daughter, Lisa Howard, and her husband, Grant Howard, Dan's son-in-law. Dan's son, Kyle Christiani, and his wife, Allie, Dan's daughter-in-law. Dan's daughter, Rachel Hunt, and her husband, Elijah, Dan's son-in-law. Nezreen Mula, Dan's godchild. And all the way from Boston to surprise Dan with their attendance tonight are Dan's cousins, Rose Pope and John Christiani. Tonight's event, it's about honoring a wonderful human. That's why you're all here. We know that he's made such a positive impact in our community, as well as raising funds. Dan, is that your phone? Could you kindly let them know that you are off the clock just for a little bit? Little bit. I'm going to keep us on time, I promise you that. I'm sorry, is that your flip phone? I mean, we can put that on speaker if we need to. Okay. Dan is off the clock. This is your time to enjoy. We can call them back. Again, this event is about honoring a wonderful human being, but it's also about raising funds for charitable causes that he chose. St. Elizabeth Catholic Charities and Prosser Heavy Equipment Program. You're here also making a difference. This event is also incredibly successful in that regard because of our sponsors who want to honor Dan and his philanthropic spirit. So I'm going to ask you to please hold your applause until the end as I read this tremendous list. Tonight's presenting sponsors include Bill and Elaine Sprigler family, Libs Paving Company, Dan Christiani Excavating, Gotta Go Waste and Recycling. Tonight's gold sponsors, AML Construction, Assured Partners, Bob and Valerie Pullen, Pat and Brenda Byrne, Caesars Foundation of Floyd County, Cherry Baker, Concierge Care of Southern Indiana, Construction Machinery Company, Don Mucci, First Savings Bank, Huber's Orchard and Winery, Indiana University Southeast, Insuramax, Ivy Tech, John Jones Auto Group, Carruth Family Recovery, The Cutter Group, Earth First, McRae Enterprises, Edward Jones Investments, Greg and Christy Nash, NWSB, PC Home Stores, St. Elizabeth Catholic Charities, Underproduction Multimedia, Waters Tyler Hoffman and Scott LLC, West Banco. Thank you to our presenting gold and blue sponsors, as well as Christianity Friends that are listed in the commemorative booklet. Could we please give them all a round of applause? And now it's my pleasure to introduce Father Adam Ahern. After leaving active duty service in the Army in 2008, Father Adam Ahern entered seminary and studied for the Archdiocese of Indianapolis. He was ordained in July and commissioned in August 2015. As a priest and chaplain, he was ministered in 7 parishes, 4 National Guard units as chaplain, Our Lady of Providence High School, Hanover College, is the Associate Vocations Director, and has been deployed to the Middle East. Through his various assignments in the New Albany Deanery, Father Adam has encountered Dan in several capacities: as a civic leader, the owner of a business, a farmer, a family man, and a devoted Catholic. Please welcome Father Ahern.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Loving and gracious God, we come before you this evening with hearts full of gratitude. We thank you for the gifts of friendship and the spirit of service that unites us as a community. As we gather to honor our dear friend, Dan, we recognize in him the virtues of faith, charity, and a dedication to others, signs of your presence and at work in our world. Lord, we ask you to bless Dan for the many ways he has shared his time, talents, and compassion. May his example remind us that true greatness is found in humble service, and that every act of kindness draws us closer to you. We ask you to bless all present here, Dan's family, and all of those who are in need. As we pray together, bless us, O Lord, in these thy gifts, which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen. We ask all of this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Father. Because of Dan's longtime support of scouting in Southern Indiana and his assistance in financing many Eagle Scout projects throughout the council, we would like to welcome scouts from Lincoln Heritage Council, Lewis and Clark District Venture Crew to 2010 Color Guard to present the colors, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, a tradition at Rotary gatherings. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. I just wanted to share a few quick words. I've been asked a few times walking through the room, do you know Dan? How do you know Dan? I came to know Dan several years ago when my company, Extol, a multimedia production, marketing, and public relations business, was hired as a Dan Christiani Excavating marketing partner. Now, Dan was always so kind and welcoming, go figure, right? But my line of work, let's just say he had a healthy skepticism. But after he saw that the Extol team and I were there to walk through the good times and the challenging ones too, I will never forget the day he looked at me with tears in his eyes as we stood together in the hospital room of one of his cherished family members, me there, because that's what a true partner does, and Dan said, "You're the real deal," before giving me a hug. I know who I am, but there is something so quietly powerful and impactful when a human being who is a genuine gem like Dan actually sees you. And I won't ever forget those words. Fast forward, and I received a cancer diagnosis. Not only did the DCE team wrap themselves around me as I set out to fight for my life, but Dan and Ann made it a point, and still do, to pray for me every single day. Dan is so sought after, he's receiving phone calls at his own toast. And who am I? Well, to Dan and Ann, I'm somebody worthy of their time, their powerful prayers, and their kindness. And so are all of you. And that is why it is truly an honor to be here. And I'm betting all of you have similar Dan Christiani stories. And it's time to begin with those who will step up to the podium to share theirs. Our first presenter this evening is Chris Jackson, who joined the Dan Christiani Excavating team. Well, he'll tell you about that. Today, Chris is CEO of Dan Christiani Excavating. He's president and CEO of Gotta Go Waste and Recycling and of Clark County Transfer and Recycling, as well as a partner at DC Develop. Grounded by faith, his commitment to service, and to his family, Chris and his wife Sylvia are raising their 3 children, Levi, Mackenzie, and Kylie. Let's show a warm Rotary welcome to Chris Jackson.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Angie. And Angie really is the real deal, like Dan said. You know, yes, definitely. When we go to the St. Elizabeth charity event every year and she tells her story, it is the most heartwarming, heart-touching thing you can ever imagine. So having her to MC this is great, especially with Dan choosing St. Elizabeth Catholic Charities to be one of the events here. So it's a privilege to stand here tonight to honor a man who's changed the course of so many lives, especially mine. We're here to celebrate more than a career. We're celebrating a calling. And speaking of a calling, if you ever been to a meeting with Dan or at an event with Dan like we are tonight, it kind of stole my thunder from our opening line. Dan always gets phone calls, and he will take them at any moment in time. So for you all that didn't hear, his phone rang during the initiation there. But it might be a $1 million land deal, or it could be a $5 bale of hay. It don't matter. It could be one of those two. But he always answers his phone, and that's one of the great values I've learned from him in running a business is you always answer your phone. Dan's legacy is built on the same principle as the Rotary: service above self. For 55 years in business, he's proven that integrity, faith, and generosity can thrive alongside success. Whether it's helping the church save money to do a project, or it's supporting a 4-H club, Dan's first question is never, what's in it for me? It's always, what can I do to help? And he's always there rolling his sleeves up with his own labor, not just his financial support. Even though Dan's retired, he still comes to the office every morning at 6 a.m. So, most of it is good. But, I get criticized a little bit, but that's all right. We all need that. For me personally, the past 15 years of Mornings with Dan have been the best education I could ever ask for. We have comedy hour with Tony Schindler every morning. We have to hide donuts that the suppliers bring in so Ann don't get in trouble, because he likes to eat all the donuts. Not just one, we eat 2 or 3, but Tony has to take them away. We do brutal negotiations with equipment salesmen. Tyler, John Gray, Andrew, you know what I'm talking about. But I've learned so much there, and I really enjoy that time every morning. John's been in this morning. I love when John comes in. Dan loves when he comes in. And we get the guys going. And Dan, anybody that's close to Christianity Excavating knows where Dan sits at. Dan sits at the back door. He sits at the back door at the old shop, and he sits at the back door at the new shop. He wants to see every employee coming in and out of that door because he wants to know what's going on. And sometimes he even checks to see if the story matches other stories. So, anyways. I first met Dan at the Prosser Heavy Equipment class, the very program that he was instrumental in starting. That class didn't just teach us how to operate machinery, didn't teach me how to operate machinery. It opened a door to the future I didn't even know was possible. Dan saw a need for young people to learn skilled trades, and instead of just talking about it, he did something about it. Dan always tells me, don't wait for something to happen, make it happen. He helped launch that program so students like me could gain real hands-on experience in the construction field. Dan was ahead of the curve in his drive to promote technical education. I still remember the day he came to our class as a guest speaker. He told stories about all of his business operations. Once he got done with the presentation, he went around the room and asked them what your career goals were after graduation and what you wanted to be. When he got to me, my overconfident, cocky 18-year-old self told Dan, well, I'm going to run your business for you one day. He laughed at me, but he did hire me that spring. So there I was. I thought I was getting a set of keys to an excavator or bulldozer, but he gave me a shovel instead. So that toned me down a little bit. From that shovel to operating equipment to estimating to managing projects, and eventually co-owning the company with Danny. Every step was built on a lesson I learned from Dan. He didn't just hand me success. He handed me an opportunity and the expectation to earn it. It means a lot that part of the proceeds from tonight will benefit the Prosser Heavy Equipment class. It's a full circle moment, giving back to the very place where this journey began for me. The reason Dan and I are so close is we share many of the same interests. From Massey Ferguson to John Deere, Dan and I share a love of farming and equipment. Through 4-H, FFA, and local partnerships, Dan has made sure we invest in the next generation of agriculture leaders. He always said, take care of the community that takes care of you. Oh, I'm not done yet, but I appreciate that. If you want to understand Dan's success, you must start with his faith. He's a man who lives out his beliefs every single day, not just in words, but in actions. The reason our company has been so successful and being able to grow is because we have a strong foundation. That foundation was built by Dan and a great group of legacy employees, led by Leo Mesmer, who instilled perfection and high quality in every project that had the Christianity name on it. And if anything knows anything about Dan, is when you put the Christianity name on it, it will be right. At Christianity Excavating, employees are treated like family, customers are treated like friends. Dan never wanted a business built on profits. He wanted to build one on purpose. I've multiple times see him for years mark down invoices to make sure that the customers get a fair shake. Dan is always known to push me when I needed pushed and pull me back, and I've needed both. We're a lot alike. He won't take a break. It was actually too pretty this week for him to work on his speech. He had to combine corn and work at the convent and dig footers and everything else this week. So we both put it off till the last minute. Luckily it rained a little bit today. Let me tell you all a story about an auction Dan and I went to here about a year ago. We walked into this auction and about 4 or 5 people were standing at the door. It was all our friends, and he says, just want to let you all know we're not even interested in this property. I'm pulling the reins back on this kid. We're doing too much. He's just, we're buying equipment and we're buying land. He's just doing too much. I'm pulling the reins back on this kid. I'm going to change the bit. I'm going to pull his reins back. So anyways, we sat down at the auction and we talked about we're only going to 800,000. We're not bidding no more. That's it. So he said, you bid around? I said, well, I'll bid. That's okay. I'll bid. So I bid 800,000. I stopped. And then the price went on up to 900 and then $1 million. And he starts hitting me on the table. I said, what? Bid. I said, okay. So I bid again, 1.1 million. So anyways, the property ended up selling for more than what we were going to, we stopped at like 1.2. But anyways, so I went over and grabbed that group of friends and I brought them back together and I said, hey, listen, this old horse isn't ready to lay down. He's ready to keep running. So just because we're doing a toast tonight, he is not going to quit running. He will still be buying property and doing a lot of things. So over the years, I've realized Dan's greatest investment hasn't been land or equipment or even projects. It's been people. He's mentored not just me, but countless employees, partners, and community members. He's taught us that leadership isn't about being the loudest voice. It's about being the most dependable. Always doing what you say you're going to do. Dan, you will always be a legend in my eyes and in the community. We're not just grateful, we're inspired. The lessons you've taught us aren't going away. Your story will continue to guide our future because your legacy is living in through all of us. Dan, thank you for your example. Thank you for the lessons, the guidance, and the friendship. On behalf of Danny, myself, everyone at Dan Christianity Excavating, Gotta Go, Earth First, and all of our businesses, thank you for a lifetime of leadership, faith, and service. Congratulations, Dan. Well deserved. We are proud to wear Dan Christianity on our shirt every day in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Our second presenter, Gary Libbs, is a longtime friend of Dan, going all the way back to high school. And he still lists Dan as a close friend and business associate. Gary is founder of Libbs Paving and is chairman of the board of the company. He's past director and chairman of the board of Your Community Bank and West Banco. He and his wife, Sandy, have 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. Please welcome Gary Libbs.
It's hard to follow, Chris. I thought you were supposed to go behind me, but that's okay. You jumped in front of that. It might have helped. Well, thank you for the introduction, Angie, Susanna, and thank you for everybody's here this evening. A jam-packed house, maybe be as full as I've ever seen it. It's awesome. And congratulations to Dan on receiving this wonderful Rotarian award. Most deserving. Dan don't ask for nothing in life like that. He's the last person would say, and maybe I should win something, but that's not Dan. Dan's the most unbelievable guy. Dan's is probably got, as Chris mentioned earlier, one of the biggest hearts you ever want to be involved with, and he's a friend of yours forever once you meet Dan. He's always as a helping hand. I first met Dan in high school, and I was a sophomore, and he was a senior, and we was at New Albany High School, and back then there wasn't a Prosser, but New Albany had a trade school like Prosser, and Prosser formed after that, and they had big classes there, and they were something else, machine shops and all. But we was together in a shop, horticulture class, construction, welding, landscaping, and did it all. We actually had 2 classes there in the afternoon. It was just one of the best, most wonderful class I could ever be in. Got to know Dan, and like Jack Kaufman, ran to Jack here tonight. Jack Kaufman, the county commissioner in Clark County, he was in that class. Jack's a real dear friend of Danny and all of us. And we probably had 50, 60 people in that class, and we shared a lot of wonderful time together. But probably one of the best I remember about what Dan was doing. Got to meet him. He was a senior. I was a sophomore, but we had that class. We all looked forward. But he'd drive a dump truck to school, a dump truck to high school, his senior year, and he'd always drive them on beautiful days when most people drive their nice cars. Dan would pull up in a single axle dump truck, a 53 GMC. He'd pull in the dump truck, and he'd say, I'd be with him and walking to the class. And he said, Jim Moore was an instructor or teacher, and he's a nice guy, and he liked all of us a lot. He said, tell Mr. Ward I'm going to be a little late for class. I said, Dan, where are you going? He said, I got a little dirt on there. I got to take a little dirt. He said, I got it sold. He said, I'm going to get $8 for that little dirt today. I said, why don't you take the little dirt after school? Oh, no. He said, I got that sold. If I unload that little dirt, get $8, I'm going to the quarry after school and get a little rock. I'm going to sell. I got that sold on the way home. And that's what an entrepreneur does. And he did it every day. It was pretty. Rainy days, he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't bring the little dirt. I mean, he did that time in, and the people that know him in that class. But that was, and Jim Moore liked Danny so much. He was, I think, probably one of his favorites for sure. He could get by with that. Even though he was 20, 30 minutes late, he got that little dirt off and got back. Went got a little rock after school and sold a little rock on the way home. That's how Danny started. He was what we call a grinder. Well, and there's Dan also. He had we got together, and I've been in business for same as Dan. We both started in 1971, started our companies, and we've been best friends. I've been in the asphalt business, and he was always the site guy. And we interacted so many times, but we probably 35 years ago, we got a group of guys. There was like 7 or 8 guys in Indiana and 7 or 8 guys in Kentucky. And some of these were contractors. Some of them were sod people. Some of them were drywall people. And some of them one of them owned a racetrack in Louisville. And there was just everything you could ever imagine on both sides. Anyway, Bob Cutter was one of us. He was always involved in it. Bob Poland, different ones that you all would know a lot of these guys. And to change, we'd bring guests sometime with us. We even had the Churchill Downs people there, the guy that all ran all the track, and he was with us time after time. But this became a group of people that we met and stayed together. And you talk about like, well, we don't know if we're going to work for that guy. I don't know if he ever paid him, or at least about this one. This guy's a great guy. We had we'd go eat somewhere. We'd eat chicken wings or we'd eat a burger. But we'd meet during the summer, every summer for like 20 years. And it was the most fun group of guys. Wilford Day got us all together. Dan, you remember that? All of them. And it was just so we could always bring a guest with us. We even actually took 2 motorhomes one time to one of the biggest tractor pulls in the world up in Ohio. And I think 3 motorhomes we took up, didn't we, Danny? You were up there every year. We went up with you and followed you up there. Lordy Moses, I didn't know what tractor pulls was. It's the largest tractor pull in the world. They had 3 tracks were running. And little Dan was up there, And hell, I said, is he driving? And he's over there in Christianity. They got the hell. He's pulling in one lane. They got another lane. This thing was on ESPN like 30 years ago when they showed these tractor pulls, and it was so much fun. And this is another group of people we met. So we did stuff like this all the time, Dan, through life. But more importantly, we done a lot of work with Christianity over the years. We were their primary paving contractor, and all the years we done business with him, I never signed a contract, not one time. He didn't ask for one. I didn't sell it. We give him a price. He quoted. We shook hands, and that's what we did. And that's how close we were. But we'd go to churches. We'd do stuff together. Danny and I have been closer than you could ever imagine, just because what Chris said about him. Leo Messmer, icon. Hell, Leo was Danny's first employee. I remember like it was yesterday. All these guys. Little Dan, when them trucks roll in the evening, so he was about 12, 13 years old. And so they started lining up dump trucks in the afternoon. You know his job, he come to school, tell them guys, hey, let them all sit. Danny, he'll fuel them all up. He fueled 12, 13 years old. He fueled those trucks every night. That's what he did. So everybody pitched in. And it was just a wonderful fan. But Tony Schenner, I could talk about you for a little while, but we'll leave that go. I think he learned from my dad on the farm how to drive a pickup truck. Is that right, Tone? So anyway, one other thing too is my dad, he retired and he had cattle, and he'd keep 60, 80 head of cows, and him and Dan were always doing something. I never knew what they were doing, but my dad would call Danny one of them phone calls, and he'd be up there that evening baling hay for him, help vaccinate his cattle, whatever it took. He was always up there helping. He did this all the time. And it was the most fun thing to watch. Anytime Danny you'd think he was too busy? Never. He was always there. But we was pretty close, and probably the biggest thing, Danny and Ann had a little baby girl, and she's a little doll, little Rachel. She's sitting right here, and they asked me to be godfather, and that was pretty cool. I loved that. And through her birthdays and growing up with her, she started showing swine, I'm going to say a nice word, or pigs, and they would be like little Arnold pigs that you saw on back in the Green Acres day, okay? They were Arnolds. Am I right, Hal? So I'm just telling you, and Dan is the kingpin up there at Clark County 4-H. So we'd go up there, and Danny always let me know when Rachel was a little pig. So I would go up there with him and sit in the crowd, and hell, 4-H Fairgrounds didn't have an auction like Clark County. Clark County, it was big time. Hell, you had to go to the state fair to be what they did. Had bleachers. So you go up there, and she brought her little pig out, Rachel did, and she had a little stick, and she could maneuver that pig around just perfect. I watched her come out of the stage on the first time I went. Rachel had lipstick on. I mean, she looked like a queen. But what really made a difference, she put it on the pig. And the pig had lipstick on. And then so, this is my goddaughter. And so they started hitting this pig, and this thing was going, oh my God, it was 500, 700, 800 out of and down like an auction. So it started rolling. It got up about $2,500, and I thought, who in the hell's bidding on me? So I started looking around, and these bankers from New Washington Bank, where are they at? Where are you boys at? Pat Daly, Sid over there, great guys, all of them. Mr. Glotzback loved to run me up. And ain't no damn way that bank's going to outbid me. So I think I paid, Ann, $4,000 or $5,000 a minute a night, right, Kyle? For a pig, but I'll tell you one thing, it was the best sausage you ever had in your life. And I did it every year for several years and loved every minute. But that's a story about Dan and Ann and their little daughter Rachel and their kids. And one thing I want to tell you, I know all Dan's family, every one of them. Cal, Lisa, her husband went to their wedding in Bloomington, Indiana. Their whole family's amazing. And I grew up with all of them. And so they all work together, get along together, and do things together, pray together, and it's just a wonderful family to be around. And that's what's a testament tonight to all these people in this room. And I'm so honored to be asked to speak, Danny. And I love you, man. You're awesome.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce State Representative Ed Clear. Please welcome Representative Clear as he comes forward to conduct an award presentation.
And I have to follow Gary Lives and lipstick on a pig. I've heard about lipstick on a pig before. I've never heard about anybody actually putting lipstick on a pig. Well, Angie, thank you. Thank you for being our MC this evening. Good evening. It's great to be here with such a wonderful crowd, and what an impressive crowd it is. I am grateful once again to have the privilege of helping honor a distinguished member of our community, and more about the distinguished part in a minute or two. Much has changed over the 31 years of this event, and over the 16 years that I have had the honor of playing a small part in it. One thing that has not changed is the Rotary Club of New Albany and its commitment to service above self, the Rotary motto. As we witness the ongoing decline of many organizations, Rotary remains strong, as the attendance at this year's toast demonstrates. Of course, tonight is also about something else, or more accurately, someone else. Someone else who hasn't changed, just like Rotary, Dan Christiani. Like the Rotary Club of New Albany, Dan has been a steadfast presence in our community. A hardworking, quiet, and humble leader who has exemplified service over self. I have encountered Dan in many different ways over the years, but one place I can always count on seeing him is at any event supporting St. Elizabeth Catholic Charities, which is well represented here this evening. The fact that Dan chose St. Elizabeth and the Prosser Career Education Center as the two organizations that will benefit from a portion of the proceeds from tonight's event says a lot about Dan. He has achieved tremendous success in business, and he easily could have stopped there, but he didn't. He has used his success in business to help people in our community, and his legacy will continue for generations and beyond through the individuals and families served by St. Elizabeth, and through the students whose careers and lives will be more rewarding because of Dan's leadership and generosity. Now, Dan, I am a little disappointed, especially after all the talk about dump trucks and all the other heavy equipment. I kind of thought you might arrive here on a piece of heavy equipment tonight. But then when I arrived, the clouds opened up and it was just pouring down rain. So I'm kind of glad he didn't arrive on a piece of heavy equipment. But he certainly could have. And that might have been a little unlike Dan, because Dan, as we all know, is a very unassuming person. And I said I would get back to the distinguished part. Well, he may be unassuming, but he's no less distinguished. So it is my honor to present Dan with this award, which I will read from. To whom these presents may come, greetings. Whereas some individuals distinguish themselves through significant contributions to their communities, whereas the qualities and characteristics of such individuals reflect the best of the great state of Indiana, whereas the actions of these individuals endear them in the hearts and minds of all Hoosiers, and whereas the below-named individual is such a person who has earned the respect and admiration of Hoosiers across the state and is worthy to join the ranks of those so honored. Now, therefore, I, Mike Braun, Governor of the state of Indiana, do hereby declare and appoint Damian T. Christiani as a distinguished Hoosier on this date, the 7th day of November in the year 2025. Dan, will you please join me on stage? The most nerve-wracking part of this was getting Damian T. Christiani correct on the award at the State House. So I'm very relieved. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Clear, and congratulations. And now our final presenter. Kyle Christiani is the son of Dan and Ann Christiani and is a graduate of Oklahoma State University. He says growing up around construction and heavy equipment operation gave him a passion for the outdoors and heavy equipment, in which he learned everything he knows from his father. He grew up spending summers working for Dan Christiani Excavating. He works with CMC, formerly known as Construction Machinery Company, where he enjoys meeting new people and sharing his passion for equipment in the field of sales. He's the husband of Allie and father to their children, one boy named Sterling and a girl named. Please welcome Kyle Christiani.
Thank you, Angie. Good evening. For those of you that don't know, Angie just mentioned it. My name is Kyle Christiani. Dan and Ann are my parents. I've been married to my beautiful wife, Allie, for 8 years. We have 2 awesome children, Sterling and Navy. I can't begin to tell you how honored I am to be here with all of you this evening. When I was asked by my dad to give this speech, I couldn't say yes fast enough. I would never miss an opportunity to brag on the best guy that I know. It made me even embarrass him a little bit, especially in front of a crowd this size. I'll try my best to keep this short and sweet, but that'll be difficult to do. I can't begin to tell you all the times that my dad has been there and helped me throughout my life and still does every day. In the early years of my life, Dad was understandably very busy with work. Believe it or not, he didn't build this business overnight. As a young boy, I remember a lot of evenings and weekends spent driving around checking on job sites that he had going on. Even if we had somewhere to go, there was always time to stop by this job or that job just to check it out. A lot of times in the evenings, when all his guys went home, you could find him on the job, running a piece of equipment, getting things ready for the next day. Only stopping long enough to eat dinner with us as a family. I remember my mom always made such a big deal about us all eating together. Looking back, I'm really glad she did that. For my dad, working is a way of life. When his parents immigrated to this country from Italy, they didn't have much. But luckily, they had the faith and the work ethic to make something of themselves. I know that's where you got it from. Growing up with a business owner as your dad wasn't always easy. We had to make a lot of sacrifices throughout the years. My dad missed a lot of ball games when I was a little kid. But looking back, he wasn't missing them for no reason. He had a lot of people depending on him. My dad's employees have always meant so much to him. They were our family growing up. Occasionally, for the girls in the office, babysitting us kids was just part of the job description. As well as maybe grabbing my mom's birthday or anniversary gift. Right, Dee? Where's the, Lisa? Is it Lisa? I can remember back in the recession of 2008, and my dad decided to sell his pulling tractor. He loved the sport of tractor pulling, so when I asked him why he quit, his response was simple and direct. It's not fair for my employees to be cut back to 40 hours a week and maybe out here playing. Looking back, I can remember so many lessons my dad's taught me over the years. Most of those lessons were all around having a strong work ethic, being a good person, and treating people the way you want to be treated. Another thing Dad instilled in all of us kids was faith. He didn't only teach us to have faith, but lived it every day. Teaching all of his kids about Jesus is undoubtedly one of his greatest accomplishments. I can remember several times when someone wronged him through the years, and while it might have angered me, he always took the high road. He was always slow to anger. He didn't care if it cost him time or money. if he did the right thing and treated people the way he wanted to be treated, he had faith that God would handle the rest. I believe that his motto of treating people the way he'd like to be treated is one of the reasons this room's so full here tonight. A lot of people see the trucks, the hats, the shirts with his name on them. But for those of us that actually know him on a personal level, I believe we're all better for it. One of the stories that comes to mind of a life lesson my dad taught me was when I was living out in Oklahoma. I had an old Chevy truck and a rusty old horse trailer. When my dad came to visit one time, I told him, look at all my friends' horse trailers. They're all shiny and new. I need one of those. Without skipping a beat, he said, well, is there a place around here we can buy one? Absolutely. So off we went. After looking around for a good hour or so, I was trying to find a good deal for him, you know. I said, this is the one. I want this one. He said, well, go get the salesman. When we went in and sat down in the salesman's office, the salesman looked at me and said, well, how are we going to be paying for this? Cash? Check? I said, how are you going to be paying for this? Cash? His response was, I don't need a trailer. I have one. I remember I left that day a little brokenhearted and a little mad. I thought, what a waste of time that just was for a man whose time is so valuable. Now looking back on that day, what a lesson that really was. Don't buy things you can't afford just to try to keep up with the Joneses. Another time he taught me the value of a dollar is when I had a truck I wanted to sell. We all know trucks are ways yourself. You have the title in hand, so I asked Dad for a little loan so I could pay off the truck and get the title. I told him as soon as I'd sell it, I'd be able to pay him back. No problem. Wrote me a check. So sure enough, about a month or so later, I sold the truck, and I couldn't wait to tell Dad and pay off my debt. So I went into his office and sat down and was ready to write my check, and I said, I'm ready to pay you off. He said, well, hold on a minute. He went and got one of his secretaries who came out and had everything broke down on a spreadsheet, interest included. That's a true story. I could go on and on about everything this man has done for me throughout my life. He's always there to offer advice. Sometimes you don't even have to ask for it. No, I can't begin to thank him enough for all he's done for our family. And the one last story that comes to mind is when my wife and I lost our first child. I'd never seen my dad so upset. I'd never seen my dad cry like that before. When we got back home, I remember asking him, what do I do now? His answer was simple. Have faith and pray. I remember the days and weeks following, he was there with us every day. And to be honest, without him instilling our faith in me at such a young age, I don't know how me and my wife would have made it through that. One thing's for sure, my dad loves his friends and family with his whole heart. His grandkids a little more than the rest of us, I think. As an equipment salesman, I get to go out into our community and talk to a lot of different people every day. I always enjoy the stories they tell me. And I'm not sure if they're just not telling me, but I'm yet to hear a negative one about him. What an accomplishment that is and a testament to the life he's lived. When you live a life like he has, focused on God and family, people notice. That's one of the reasons why this old country boy from Floyd Knobs, Indiana, with only a high school diploma, was recently asked to be on the board of one of the most prestigious Catholic universities in the country, Ave Maria University. He continues to work hard every day. He is undoubtedly the busiest retired guy I've ever met. It doesn't matter if it's a church, helping out friends and family, or working on the farm, he still takes the same pride he always has. It doesn't matter how big or small the job is, one thing's for sure. If Dan Christianity's doing it, it'll be done right. Now, as I wrap this up, I'd like to talk directly to my dad. Thank you. Thank you for being the best dad you could be. Thank you for teaching me about Jesus. Thank you for teaching me work ethic and for teaching me to always treat people the way that I want to be treated. I'm blessed to be a Christiani. Dad always said, surround yourself with good people. That's exactly what he's done here tonight. Thank you all.
Thank you, Kyle. Please welcome our Rotary District 6580 Governor, Carrie Schneider-Aitken, for the Paul Harris presentation.
Thank you so much, Angie. Good evening. Tonight we have the distinct honor of recognizing an individual who consistently exemplifies Rotary's motto of service above self. The presentation of a Paul Harris Fellow is one of the highest honors Rotary can bestow and is a way of expressing its appreciation for a substantial contribution to its humanitarian and educational programs, and honoring those individuals who contribute or have contributions made in their name of $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation. It is named for Rotary's founder, Paul Harris, a Chicago attorney who started our organization with 3 business associates in 1905. The first Paul Harris Fellow was given in 1957. Rotarians often designate a Paul Harris Fellow to honor a person whose life demonstrates a shared purpose with the objectives of the Rotary Foundation to carry out the many programs we know are benefiting people and communities around the world through improved living conditions, better health care, educational opportunities, and new channels for the flow of international understanding and peace building. Tonight we have the pleasure of honoring Dan Christiani with the Paul Harris Fellow. Today's award was given as a special expression of appreciation from the Rotary Club of New Albany. Our honoree has distinguished himself through his extraordinary commitment to the New Albany community and ultimately in the world. Dan Christiani, please join me on stage. On behalf of the trustees of the Rotary International Foundation, it is my distinct pleasure to present you this Paul Harris Fellow Certificate, Pin, and Medallion. Please accept this emblem with pride as a symbol of our sincere appreciation for your service and your commitment to making our world a better place. Please join me in a round of applause to congratulate our newest Paul Harris member, Don Christiani. Dan Christiani, tonight you join an esteemed group of change makers, making this world a better place. Many other notable figures have been named Paul Harris Fellows, including U.S. President Jimmy Carter, Russian President Boris Yeltsin, U.S. astronaut James Lovell, United Nations Secretary General Javier Perez, and polio vaccine developer Jonas Salk, along with many Paul Harris Fellows that we have here tonight. If you are a current Paul Harris Fellow, please stand for an applause. Thank you again.
Now I would like to invite Larry Rickey, our 2024 Community Toast honoree, to present our official Community Toast, along with representatives of our presenting sponsors, Bill and Elaine Sprigler family, Liv's Paving Company, Dan Christiani Excavating, and Gotta Go Waste and Recycling. Larry will be joined by Danny Christiani, Bill Sprigler, Gary Lips, and Chris Jackson.
And it's a distinct honor to have this toast in your honor. I want you to know that this week is what we call a double-double for Dan. Not many of you know, but Sunday, Dan was inducted into the New Albany High School Hall of Fame. Let's give him a round of applause. Dan, this night belongs to you and Ann and your family and all the team at Dan Christiani Excavating Company. So let's all raise our glasses and give this toast to Dan, who totally exemplifies the Rotary model of service above self. Dan and Ann and family, this night is yours.
And now, it's time. I am honored to ask Dan Christiani to take the stage for your response to this honor on behalf of our community and the New Albany Rotary.
Oh, I don't know what to say. I'm gonna be the worst speaker tonight, and if anybody goes up there, because I can't top any of those 30. And, it's just, I just can't believe this tonight, and, you all are something else, and, you all are the ones that be committed to, you're the ones we should be honored, as all you people here, because you're all willing to make this all happen and helping this community, because by you all being here, it brings this community together. And that's what we have here in Southern Indiana. We got a community. And I'll go as far as Kentucky too, because we got a lot of Kentucky. I got a lot, our Goddess group is here tonight from Kentucky. And I do a lot for us. And then I'm so honored too, but all the clergy is here tonight. And I just can't believe it that everybody came out. I mean, it was a bad night tonight, it was raining and everything. And I can't believe it, but I just want to say thank you so very much from the bottom of my heart, because we're here to build a community and keep the community going and try to give back to this community. So I kind of want to start off with it. I know I just can't believe that this is even happening, and I just, I always want to be a humble person. I don't really want to be able to in Time Light. I mean, I just don't want to be there. Not me. And it seemed like I'm out of place. But, you know, I just want to know that at least some of the things I've done maybe has brought us together and made us closer friends, because there's nothing more worth in this world is having friends. The most important thing in the world is friends. And, you go through this life and you know, I don't know how people do it without friends, because friends would make every day go so much easier and better. And I just want to say, I want to say thank you to all the priests that showed up tonight. And we had one from Boston that even came down here to see me. And when I go to Boston, I go to Mass. Father Martin, afterward, we got talking, and he got a little background in the farming industry. And, you know, so we talked a little bit about farming a little bit. And so I go yesterday to pick him up at the airport. I had no clue who I was picking up. My wife would not tell me that I had guests coming in, but she didn't tell me who they were. So my two cousins came, and then Father Martin, he was there, and I couldn't believe it. There he is, he's there. So it was, I mean, it was unbelievable. And I know I tried to squeeze it out of her, and she would not tell me. And then we got caught in traffic, and it got late getting there, and the whole mess. But anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for all the priests who are here, and I'd like to introduce them as Father Adam, which was up here earlier, and thank you very much, Father Adam, for everything you've done for me and my family. You've been with us when things were tough, and I appreciate that. Thank you so very much. And Father Ronald, he's my buddy. Every time I see Father Ronald, I say, "You're my buddy," and he is truly my buddy. And I appreciate you being here. And Father Tom, you're my buddy too, Father Tom. And you know, he runs our parish, and he runs a pretty tight ship. He does a pretty good job. And sometimes we get a little cross, but we get right back. You know, it's all good. And it's all good. He knows I'm Italian, and you know how I get every now and then. So he knows that. And we get along good. We're best of buds. And we got Sunny Day here. That Father Sunny Day is just a great person. And then Steve, Father Steve Vance, he's here. And so, you know, we get together with that bunch, and we have some steak. I told them for house last steak. I cooked them up some prime rib. I said we have a good dinner, so we try to do that every now and then with them. We always have a good time being all there together. And then I want to thank my cousins for the trip coming to Indiana for a special night, and I do appreciate that. And you know, my cousin John, he calls me every Sunday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. And because he knows I'm up, and I usually get up a little bit after 4 every morning. And so at 6 o'clock, I can set my clock. And John calls, and we touch every day. And we've been doing this for like 27 years. Every Sunday morning, I don't care where I'm at, he calls me at 6 o'clock in the morning. And we talk for probably 30 minutes every Sunday. So, you know, we might have distance between us, but we still are right there together. And our family is really tight and close, and it's just a wonderful thing. I got a wonderful family, and I want to thank my kids, especially because I've been a terrible dad. I mean, I've been a terrible dad. I really have, because I don't know how many dance classes. I don't. Ball games, I don't know, I might have made one or two maybe, and, but I didn't go very many ball games. I hated ball. And luckily I never showed because I had things to do, and here I was sitting there at the ball game, and I can't help them throw a ball at him, so it was just kind of a waste of time. But anyway, I was there, and so I just want to say that I'm so sorry that I wasn't a really good dad, but I love all of you like no other. I mean, I love you all so much. And you know, earlier it was said too that I do think I love the grandchildren even more. I mean, it's a whole new life to these grandkids, and watching them grow and watching them learn, and I mean, they're just their own person. It's just unbelievable. and they're so smart in the things that they can do and everything, and it just makes life worthwhile. It makes life, that's what we're here for. We're here for these kids. And, I think back about that and, thinking about Prosser, trying to start that class, and, when I kept going up there to Cunningham trying to get that class in there, they thought I was crazy. And, so then, I was persistent. My dad always told me, if you want something, you gotta grease that squeaky wheel, so you gotta just keep doing it. So I kept doing it. And, so then I finally said, well, you know what, I get reinforcements. So then I called Vic Unruh, Mac Construction. I called Bob Cutter, and I called Bill Engel, I called Bierman. I called them all. I said, come on, guys, we've got to gang up on them. We're going to get this class on there. And sure enough, we got it going, and we got a great class. And, our company wouldn't be where it's at today without that class. So how much it brought to us. Another thing I wanted to kind of mention a little bit is St. Elizabeth. I was going to tell you a little story. I'm kind of going backwards on. I wrote this paper up and I throw it out the window. Anyway, St. Elizabeth is down at where the old Holy Trinity used to be. And back when I was a kid, my grandfather came from the old country, and he couldn't hardly talk English very well, and he half English, half Italian. And so I said, no, why do we have to get up at 5 o'clock and hold the garden? He said, because we got to get these vegetables all done. He had gardens everywhere. Had a little garden here, a little garden there, a little garden there. Had these gardens everywhere. And then we get up and we pick all these vegetables. I said, what we're going to do is we can't eat this much. He said, we got to give it back to the poor. So we would load up the truck, go down to New Albany at Holy Trinity Church, put it on the step of Holy Trinity Church, and give away to help the poor. And, that taught me a valuable lesson. That, here's a guy, immigrant from Italy, and he's giving back. He don't have much, but he's going to give what he had. He gave his hard work, his ethics, and he wanted to make a better place because we made a better place for him to live and raise his family. So it installed so much into me of giving back, and it was a good lesson. And it made it easier for me to get up early and to do that. And so Holy Trinity burnt down in 1975. In '76, I got the job of tearing the old church down after it burnt. It was one of the biggest jobs we had. And, I hadn't been in business too long. My line of credit was 0. And I was wanting to buy a dump trailer so we could haul bigger loads. And I found a dump trailer, but I didn't have no money to buy it. And I went to the local bank and asked them for the money, and they kind of laughed at me. So I went to another bank, Mutual Trust down in Floyd Knowledge. And I went down there and talked to them at the time and said, would you loan me the money to buy this dump trailer so we can, I got this big job. They said, big job? Yeah. We're going to make a park. We're tearing down the church, we're going to make a park. So they loaned me the money and bought trailers, and we done the job and turned it down. So today, it really brings back to me, the start of St. Elizabeth and how good and all the good that it does for this whole community. I mean, just don't imagine what all they do. I mean, it's unbelievable what they do and how many lives they've helped and brought back from abuse to abortion, and not having abortions and taking care of these mothers, letting them have a life, let life live. And it's just unbelievable what they've done for this whole community. And it just keeps growing, it gets better and better. So I'm so proud to be part of St. Elizabeth. And my wife's on the board there and does a great, great job. And then I'm going to go backwards because I've already messed up what I was supposed to do and I haven't seen the paper. So I'm going to start back. I always want to start back to my beginning just a little bit, where I came from. Well, I came from Boston, Massachusetts. I was born in Boston. My mother and dad met before the war, and they didn't get married because they went together for 4 years and didn't get married because my dad got drafted into the Army, and so my mother wanted to wait and make sure he came home. So when he did come home in 1945, He got wounded twice in World War II. He came back and was overseas the whole time. He came back from the war, and my mother was an aircraft communicator at Augusta, Maine. And so she got him a job at Susan Roebuck for $27 a week. And so he went to work at Susan Roebuck at Augusta, Maine. They got transferred to Boston, and that's where they were from. Went to Boston, and they got transferred to New Albany, Indiana, a little bit after I was born. So I don't know if y'all knows my Bostonian accent that I have. But when I tell people from Boston, they say, "You got that accent?" I say, "Well, I got that accent. I've been here since I was 1 year old." So anyway, we moved to Floyd Knobs, Indiana, and I grew down by Galena, and bought a little farm, and Dad didn't know nothing about a farm. It was green acres, 100%. So we had chickens, we had pigs, we milked cows, and we had a dirt floor in our barn, so we couldn't sell grade A milk. We had grade C milk. So that means we had to put it in a can. We had to take it to the end. They wouldn't even come up the driveway to pick it up. We had to bring it down the driveway to meet them to get rid of the milk. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, milk cows, then we go to school, come back, milk cows. And this went on for several years, and Dad said, "You know what, I don't think we're not making any money in this. I don't like this cattle business," so we got out of the dairy business. And and fast forward a little bit, I used to like being around the cows and everything, and I didn't know a whole lot about farming, but I was trying to learn, and Dad was trying to learn. So Mount St. Francis Seminary was connected to our farm in the back part of our farm. And we got to be good friends with the priests and the brothers over at Mount St. Francis. They had a real good dairy, up-to-date dairy. We had a milk machine over there. And so I used to have a school bus drop me off at Mount St. Francis, and I would go back to the barn and help them milk cows, throw silage down, and help them milk cows at night. And so me and Brother Jim was pretty close, and he taught me all about farming and what to do and everything, and it really worked out good. And I kept telling Brother Jim, I said, "I sure like to have a dump truck. I want to corner a dump truck so bad. If I had a dump truck." So Brother Jim called me one day, he says, "Dan," he says, "you need to skip school, and I'm going to pick you up. We're going to Camp Atterbury, and we can buy Army surplus, and we're going to get you a truck." They got a GMC, a 52 GMC up there. It came out of the Air Force, and we're going to see if we can't buy this truck. So you skip school? And I said, "You know, Dad would kill me if you knew I skipped school." He said, "What are you going to tell him?" He said, "We're going to go to the bus stop. I'm going to pick you up, and we're going to Camp Atterbury." So I was 15. I said, "How are we going to get the truck back?" He said, "Oh, we're going to stop at Charlestown. We're going to pick Leonard Icoach up. He's got a big dairy up there." And Leonard, he said, "I know Leonard real well. We're going to take him with us. So if we buy the truck, we can bring it home." So we go up to Camp Atterbury. Sure enough, we found the truck, but it don't have a bed on it. It's a road tractor. And so we buy the truck, $250, bring it home, and they have to keep it for a year before they can sell it. So then we went to Yule Truck Sales and bought a bed off a wrecked dump truck that come out of the county, and for $250. And so then I said, "Brother Jim," I said, "how are we going to get this bed from Yule Truck Sales, Palmyra, to Mount St. Francis?" He said, "Oh, I'll bring the wagon up, or we'll put it on the wagon, and we'll get it on there." So we did, and we put the dump bed on, and we made a dump truck out of it. So they used it that whole year. And when I turned 16, he said, "Well, give me the $250, you can get your truck now." So it worked out real well, and I got my first dump truck. So I used to drive the truck to school, like Gary was talking about, and you know, everybody had these real fancy cars, and I had a real fancy dump truck. I painted it outside with spray gun, never painted it nothing in my life, and I decided I'm going to paint this truck, so I painted it maroon with black feathers, and I had a '67 Chevelle, but I'd rather drive a dump truck. So I took to it, and a power line company comes through our farm, and my dad and my grandfather, you know, they was upset because they were pushing these trees up and burning them, and that's a sin, wasting all these trees. So they said, "My son will take care of it." So I used to cut firewood Jack Hoffman was one of my helpers, Jim Sim, they're sitting there back there and helped us, and we cut firewood. And we cut firewood after school, and so my FFA boys helped me out, and we throw the firewood on there, and we bring it to, I'd haul it to school, and then I get out of the school and deliver it, and then go pick up rock and haul back. 'Cause you gotta make money, you gotta haul both ways, you just can't go one way. So, so that was kind of my start, and getting out of high school, you know, I wanted to start a business and didn't have no money, and so I went to work for Bill Engel excavating and worked for him for several years, and Bill was just a great guy. And I worked for him for several years and get off about 4:30, and then I met Billy Spridler and his dad, Oscar, and Oscar, what a mentor he was to me. I mean, unbelievable man. And anyway, we would dig basements together, and you know, I had a 955, I had a little bit bigger tractor, and Oscar, he'd be lucky to get one basement dug a day, and I'd get at least a basement and a half, maybe sometimes two basements, and we'd work late at night, we'd just keep going, just keep moving. But you know, growing up and running a business, it was something else, and we had to do everything we could do. And so I met up with Leo Mesmer, and Leo was a sophomore, I think, at the time, and at Floyd Central, and he said came to me, wanted to know if he could have a little spot to plant tomatoes, so we could have a project there, raising tomatoes for FFA to raise money. So we started a little program, so him and Dave Kerr and my cousin Chris Ticker, we all worked together, and so he raised the tomatoes, and then I got this job at night. I went to this apartment complex. I got the job of cleaning out drywall, and we throw drywall out, sweep the buildings out, and then there was a policeman in town had a dump truck. We hired him to come and help us, and we'd load up the drywall and all the scrap around there, clean that place up, and haul it off every night. And so they helped me do all that, and then they come to me and ask me, said, "Can you plant shrubs?" I said, "Sure, we plant shrubs." "Can you landscape?" "Oh yeah, I can landscape." I never told them no, because you know, why not? We might as well do something. We gotta make money, so we just kept doing it. So founded a business group to the point where I had to quit my job, and we worked. And at the first few years, it was pretty tough. And I can also remember one time I was walking down to the house, and that day we didn't have no money in the bank, and Virginia yelled worked for me. He was a great secretary. She said, "Dan, we ain't got no money to make payroll tomorrow." And I walked down the driveway and to the house, and I was crying. I mean, I was crying like a baby. I said, "How am I going to tell these guys I can pay these guys tomorrow? They work so hard, and I don't have any money to give them. I can't pay them tomorrow. How am I going to tell them they can't get paid?" And so, anyway, I prayed, and I prayed. I said, "God, please help me. I need your help. And, you know, I'm not a big boy anymore. I need you to help me." So, anyway, the next morning, I was going to talk to these guys and tell them that they're going to have to wait a week or two to get paid because I didn't have the money. And all of a sudden, this guy calls me, over $8,000, and said, "Can I come over this morning and pay you?" I mean, what a gift. And so, you know, we never missed a paycheck. And that was one time that I thought we was really gonna miss one, we never did. So, you know, these guys that work for me, I mean, I can go on all night and talk about how great they are, but it's not me, it's them, what they did for me. My workers, we was like a big family. We worked together, we worked hard, and they were dedicated. I mean, dedicated, there's no other. And Leo, he was always the tickler for detail. And I'm a whim bam, you know, I go on, you know, but I'm just, you know, go on, but Leo was, everything has to be perfect, So, you know, he was my detail man. So, I mean, we worked good because our personalities are completely opposite, and it really worked out perfect, make things work. And, you know, even today, you know, we got some guys that are, I mean, really super good workers. And I try to install in everybody that works for us is that, you know, we want you to be here because you want to be here, not because it's a job. I want you to do it because you want to be here and to be pride in the work you do when you get done. I mean, that means so much when you take pride in what you do and, and just do it a little bit more. You know, every day when you get finished, just do it a little bit more. And you'll see how much more it means to you. And we got so many employees that done that for us and kept us going. I guess I'm gonna go on all night if I don't wanna hurry up and stop there. But, yeah. I don't know really why I wrote this up, but, well, to tell you the truth, I had the girls in the office do it for me. I just want to mention a couple of little things. Is one that this week we had a bad catastrophe and a very sad thing happened to our city with that plane crash. At UPS, and we've been working at UPS since 1994. That's kind of that's something that you work for a company for that many years, but we've been there since 1994 doing our snow removal. We're still there today, working there, and with the help of everyone that's been involved to put that together, because they do demand a lot. And so we've been we've always tried to take care of them and do that. And another big supporter of ours has been the the fairgrounds, Kentucky State Fairgrounds. We've been working there since 1980. And I got involved with the fairgrounds by doing tractor pull. And I started building tracks for tractor pull. And then promoters got a hold of me. They liked what they seen. So we traveled all over the country and started building tractor pull tracks. So in the wintertime, we did as much as 60 pull tracks and monster truck shows, motocrosses, mud bogs. We did it all. And we traveled all over the country and did these tractor pulls all over the country. And mud bogs and everything else. We've done that for several years. And but we've been at the fairgrounds since 1980. Been working. We're still there today, and they've been great partners with us. And we love the fairgrounds. They are great people to work with, and it's just been a good relationship. I mean, I can't even say good. I'd have to say the best ever was. But we do a lot of work for them yet today, and we want to keep that relationship going. So it means a whole lot to me. And subdivisions, we've done, probably 75% of subdivisions in Floyd and Clark County in the last several years. And we do a lot of subdivisions. So we've built a lot of roads, and we've just done a lot. But to do all this is because of our people that we've had working for us. That our people is our company. Our people is this company, not Dan Christianity. That's just a name. It's the people that we have working for us. And I want to say thank you for the people that's worked for us for all these years. This month will be 55 years. What accomplishment for 55 years. And that's all I wanted to see happen with this company. I just want to see it. I just want to see it keep going. Is what I really want. My legacy is that this company keeps going. We feed a lot of families. We take care of our community. Because without community, we don't have anything. And so the more that we can give back, the better we are. And when you give and help, you feel so good with yourself inside. And I'd rather do that than receive. And just like tonight, I'm not receiving anything, you all are. And thank you all for coming, because you wouldn't be there. And my final thing I wanted to say is that Rotary, what they're all about and what they do is just something else. It's just it's how many lives they touch, and they build this community to make it solid. And thank you, Rotary, for even considering me and my organization, and what you brought. Look how you did. You brought these people here together tonight. Everybody brought us all together. So we got the best community in the world. Floyd and Clark County is the best community I've ever dealt with. I mean, they're just good people, and everybody's out to help each other. Not what's good for themselves, but what's helping everybody else. And that's the kind of people I want to deal with. My daddy always told me, he said, "You always hang around good people." I look around this room, and there's a bad one in here. So you don't need to pat yourself on the back. And the final thing I wanted to say is that, you know, my whole life, you know, has been is values. I believe in our values, and my values is God, family, and work. And I know that I got mixed up a little bit sometimes. I had work, you know, family, and then God, but that's not the way I really want it to be. So, you know, all I want to happen in my life is the day that I part and I go up them pearly gates. I want God to say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." That's what I'm hoping for in my life. Thank you. You know, I knew he was out to get somebody, and I know I forgot a whole lot of other, but, you know, one of the most important person in my life is my wife. I still look at my paper. It's on the page. But I know I get, you know, tore up and I just don't look at things sometimes. And I do speak stuff like this every now and then. That's how stupid I really am. But I just want to tell you that I want to say something about my wife. And that is that, you know, we've been together about 35 years now. And, you know, my mother came and lived with us back several years ago, and she had Alzheimer's, and she lived with us for 11 years. And you know who took care of her? My wife. It wasn't her blood, it wasn't her family, it was me, but she did it for me, and she did it for my mother. And on my deathbed, my dad told me, he says, "Son, there's one thing I want you to do for me." He said, "I want you to take care of your mother." And I said, "Dad, I will." And so she helped me keep that promise. And, you know, I could have kept that promise without her. And, you know, we, for a long time, we couldn't, for 11 years, it was hard for us to go anywhere or do anything because somebody had to be home with mother. But she sacrificed all this time to take care of my mother. And I just wanted to tell you that I love her so much for everything she's done for me and for my family. And she's the one that keeps me straight. And because sometimes I get a curveball and I go the wrong direction sometimes. So she's the one that has to keep me straight. And I'm human like everybody else. And so, you know, you got to have a good woman behind you to keep you going. And so I just wanted to mention that my hands are off to my wife. Thank you, Ann, for everything.
You are not a stupid man. You came back up here and thanked your wife. Smart man. Dan Christiani now joins a long list of community honorees, which began 30 years ago. You can see them listed in your program, and I encourage you to do so. It's the first thing I did when I sat down. But right now, I'd like to invite any past honorees or their representatives who are in attendance to stand if you're able. Raise your hand in the air so we can recognize you, please. Dan, as the 31st, could we ask you to stand one more time? Congratulations to you. So deserved. Our heartfelt gratitude also to our presenting gold and blue sponsors as well, again, as Christianity Friends listed in the commemorative booklet. Your support enables Rotary to do the many, many, many good works of service in our community. And also, we know that the support will be a wonderful gift to St. Elizabeth Catholic Charities and the Prosser Heavy Equipment Program as well. And I love this. During that dinner break, I was asked a few times, thank you, Mary Grower, as well as several others who came up and said, but I want to donate still. I promise you, we will take those donations. If you want to donate to either organization in Dan's honor, please grab a Rotarian. Please grab a Rotarian. I know you can raise your hands, they're wearing medallions. Please go and find them or talk to the person who's at your table. We will connect you. Very appreciated. Family members, presenters, please, please stay for pictures. And to all of you, Dan, you filled the room. You filled the room. Thank you so much. Stay safe and have a great night.
That was important. Yes.